How y'all like the new intro music? I don't got the animation, but I'm gonna play around with some things. I think another thing another way I'm gonna start expanding the channel is I'm gonna start giving some technical hardware advice like I used to. I think I'm about to start making videos on that too. You can't see me right now because, you know, I got the little camera. I ain't got my regular mic hooked up, so sometimes I like to do the raw thing. But check this out. I want y'all to consider this here. All right. Now, what if I started doing testing for certain things? Like if I'm getting ready to test a new tool or a piece of software, wherever the case may be, do y'all want to see it first? Do y'all want the first-hand review of what I'm testing? You know, that's up to y'all. That's something that I could play with. But I wanted to give a shout out to Nas. Much like the multi-platinum selling artist of Texas, a riding dirty chameleonaire, he went off and he's been investing in Dropbox and the Ring and all kind of little cool stuff, little tech startups, you know, early on. He started learning to do that and became a venture capitalist. And reports are that he closed on he helped invest on a $5 billion casino deal. I think Jay-Z was one of the bidders, and Nas ended up, being one of the people that won. So of course he didn't buy this completely himself. He wasn't he didn't have $5 billion. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is an investment that was made. And if you make an investment on something with a valuation of $5 billion or whatever the case may be, I mean, you gonna come out on top. So, remember, when Ring was sold by Amazon, he could have possibly been involved in that acquisition as a stock person. I don't care if you own 1 or 2%. If Amazon acquires something and you got something to do with it, you're gonna make 30, 40 tickets off the rip. So shout out to Nas Escobar, man. A lot of times people will say, well, he didn't sell as many records as Jay-Z and he's not as popular and all this. And, people say, oh, he ain't went viral in a long time, whatever. He ain't got to go viral. His bank account could go viral. He could do just fine by those investments that he made. He ain't got to sell another damn record. Not one. You know what I'm saying? And he going to be all right. So shout out to Nas Escobar, man. When I seen Dropbox and Ring, that really, hit my spidey sense. I said, okay, yeah. And, there's multiple different sources where you can verify this. There was a piece in my second book where I talked about venture capital. I talked about there is several different avenues in which you can invest. There's some different applications and software that you can invest in. So that might be something that y'all might want to consider. That might be a risk. When you're thinking about just buying something like, well, man, I want a pair of tennis shoes or whatever that cost, over X amount of dollars. Well, maybe you could just take some money and invest in, some kind of venture capital thing. You can start out small. And, you can't expect this stuff to just go real fast. But that's something to think about. I dedicated an entire chapter to that because a lot of black folks online, they're not talking about stuff like this. That's why I said I gotta make this book cool. I gotta make it cool to be techie. You know what I'm saying? That's why I mentioned people like, you got Chameleonaire. You got the brother that made Nipsey Hussle's Marathon store a smart store. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the first smart stores in America. So I just wanted y'all to know, hey, these things are out there, man. But like I said, shout out to Nas Escobar and shout out to Sean Carter as well. You know what I'm saying? He lost the bid. He ain't lose no money. He gonna be all right. He gonna be just fine. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to those brothers, man. Shout out to them. Because we need more black folks that's involved in that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?